I'm feeling quite talkative during this particular moon, which is Scorpio. It's all about self-reflection, emotions, and things coming to the surface. And one thing I really wanted to share is the connection, or my journey with endometriosis, which is extremely painful periods, and biodynamic breathwork. Now, since my teenage years, I've struggled, I'm not going to say suffered, I've struggled with endometriosis, which has been like chronic menstrual pain. And when you look up the emotional connection with endometriosis, it's quite often rejecting the feminine, it's not wanting to be a woman, maybe trauma, who knows, but I've never found a reason why I've had this chronic pain. It's just always been there. Now, I've had quite a lot of success over the years, from doing holistic health practices, doing emotional freedom techniques, things like that, doing shamanic healing, but the pain would always come back. And one thing I realized, and one thing I learned from doing all of these practices, it's like the more spiritual I became, the more disembodied I became. So I was all about being up there in the ether and not being fully in my body. So I'll just talk to you briefly about the pain. So the pain for me sometimes would become so bad, I'd physically try to run and leave my body. We all know that's impossible. You can't do that, right? But that was a theme. I'd try to run, like I'd feel the pain and it'd be so overwhelming. And I'm talking like a chainsaw going off in my womb. And I was really at a stage where I didn't know what to do. And as I said, like the pain became manageable when I learned things like learning my core values, learning my needs, how to take care of myself, how to love myself. But there was still something there. There was still an issue. Something still wasn't quite right, because the pain could all of a sudden come back. And then I discovered biodynamic breathwork and trauma release. And the first time I ever had a session, it literally just changed my life, because I thought I thought I had it quite together, and I thought I was quite emotionally sound. But the first time I had a session, I could feel all this pain building up in my upper tummy area. And the more I connected to it, I was trying to escape. And then all of a sudden I kind of thought to myself, why do I never allow myself to feel pain? And then this primal scream literally just erupted out of my body. And I was with 3 really good friends when this happened, and they were like, whoa. And for me then, that kind of got me asking the questions like, what is this? And the more I entered breathwork and the world of biodynamic breathwork and trauma release in particular, the more I realized about these hidden, trapped, suppressed emotions and trauma that stay within our tissues, which cause us pain. So the first course I did, I remember we work on the head and the eyes first, and after that session I had the worst period pain I'd ever had. Like, I wanted to throw up, and it just wouldn't go away, and I was nowhere near my cycle. It was like, I'd literally just finished. And at the end of the session, someone came over and literally placed their hand on me and said, what is it in here? And then I realized it was sadness. And as soon as I connected to it, boom, the sadness came out. And it kind of got me thinking, so that's how you clear stuff from the body. You feel it. And anyway, we worked through the sessions, we worked through each of the belts of tension. and the last day is the pelvis. So as you can understand, someone who's got quite a lot of menstrual issues, and it's clear and it's apparent that there's a lot of trauma trapped there, you can understand that I was quite nervous around doing this particular belt. But it wasn't painful at all. But the interesting thing was, after the session, during we call it the meditation phase, the resourcing phase, integration, I literally laid there and my legs shook non-stop for 35 minutes when my body was discharging the trauma. See, that for me was like, wow. And I went to my room. Within an hour, I got the heaviest period I've had ever. No pain, just really heavy. And then my pain was fine. But then I realised it's like a layer. So I realised there's a lot more to clear. I've got years and years of emotional trauma from not loving myself, from allowing guys to take advantage of me, from working as a pole dancer. All these things have stored in my womb. You know, all my ancestral stuff, like all my mum's issues around her menstrual cycle, all of her mum's issues. You know, it's not just mine. And anyway, the next level of training that I did from biodynamic breathwork, it was completely the opposite. So we worked through again, didn't have any menstrual pain. And then the last belt that we did with the pelvis again, my God, that day I had the most painful period I've ever had, like in all records of me ever having a period. And I just remember laying on the floor, almost on the verge of meltdown. I had 2 therapists with me that were comforting me and helping me feel safe. And my body was just releasing years and years and years of sadness, suppressed sadness, all this stuff that I was carrying in the womb. And to me, it's just been amazing. And I keep having these powerful sessions where I release all this sadness from the womb. And each time I do it, it gets a little bit easier. And I become a little bit clearer. And today is the Scorpio moon, and it's the first day of my cycle, which has actually come a week early because the full moon is that potent at the moment. And I have 0 pain because I've learned, and this is the thing that all the other practices have kind of never taught me, I've learned to feel into the pain, to feel the qualities, the felt sense. You know, what are the components of this pain? Where does it sit? Is it a throb? Is it tingle? Is it heavy? Is it lifting? All these little things that when you learn this and you have the courage to sit with the pain and not try to escape or dissociate or distract ourselves or take pain medication, it's like you're just allowing the body to communicate with you. And your body, trust me, it wants to help you. Like, it's always helping you and guiding you to feel better and be healthy. But we just lost all of that knowledge and wisdom about the healing capacity of our own body because we put all of our trust now into the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, doctors, surgeons, because we don't trust ourselves and we don't trust our bodies. And I also am a strong believer in what we're doing now, this silent isolation or this isolation. It's like the first 2 days of my cycle, I always do that. I just sit at home alone. I don't talk to anyone, I don't go out. I just sit with my body and I sit with the pain and I just feel into it. Because your life history is a story, and you know, the more you can heal along your story, the healthier and the happier you're going to be. So as I said, biodynamic breathwork and trauma release for me has been a game changer. with my pain. And it's interesting to observe, because sometimes I get into that space of like, oh, the pain, but then I'm like, no, just center, embody and feel, just feel it, and it goes away. And the founder, he says, in order to heal, you have to feel. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a very personal story. But yeah, I'm, happy to help anybody that's struggling with any kind of pain, emotional, mental or physical, because I really believe I found an amazing system that helps to transform people's lives. So thank you for listening.